Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zekko Football channel. You'd have thought that after the signing of Caicedo, Chelsea would be done. Oh no, this is Chelsea Football Club. And they are set to sign Romeo Lavia from Southampton. Yes, that Romeo Lavia, the one that Liverpool have been courting for quite some time. I see you, Chelsea, I see you. Today we are diving into how Romeo Lavia improves Chelsea Football Club. If you are new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and turn on those notifications. It's very much appreciated and really helps me out. And now let's dive into how Romeo Lavia improves Chelsea. Chelsea are continuing to add to their ridiculous pool of young talent by adding Romeo Lavia. Now, when we talk about Chelsea, and in particular the game that they had against Liverpool, I want to mention something because I think that Mauricio Pochettino's mind has been changed. I think he's now realised what a player Enzo Fernandez is, especially by that performance that he put in against Liverpool, but also by the sheer talent that he has at his disposal. To get the best out of Enzo Fernandez, you need to take him away from that central defensive midfield role and allow him to go forwards, to dictate the tempo of a game and to take the game by the scruff of the neck like he did against Liverpool. For that reason, I've got them set up a little bit differently in a 4-2-3-1, but it's the role of Enzo Fernandez that has changed in this scenario. He is no longer in this system a centre midfielder. He is actually going to be a central attacking midfielder with license to roam and drop, a very free role. I think this is absolutely crucial in getting the best out of him. I don't think he needs to be pinpointed into any particular position. I don't think he needs to be pigeonholed, and for that reason I think he needs a free and holding role in this central attacking midfield position, allowing him to drift out to the left, allowing him to drift out to the right, but at the same time also giving him the license and freedom to express his creativity. Now, this can only be done by making sure that you are defensively sound. And yes, they might have a very good back four, yes, they might have a good goalkeeper, but in midfield, Graham Souness said it best, it is arguably the most important position on the pitch and the most difficult position on the pitch. For that reason, I think Chelsea have done this. They've got Caicedo through the door. We know how good he is. We know what he can provide. And we'll get into Caicedo a little bit more later on in the video because I think that the addition of Lavia unlocks Caicedo as well to a certain extent. But in getting the best out of Enzo, Chelsea need to make sure that they are defensively sound, and that's where Romeo Lavia comes in. I think a lot is being put on Caicedo from a defensive point of view, even before he's gotten into his first Chelsea starting 11. We know he is incredibly good, however, teams are getting better, and they're getting better at exploiting weaknesses. If Chelsea were to bomb on forwards a little bit too much, I think they could be exposed in certain areas. And as good as Caicedo is, he's not going to be able to go from back to front, from right to left all of the time. He's going to need help. Now, he's going to get that help in certain scenarios, but I think that the addition of Lavia is twofold. Number one, it really bolsters their midfield defensive presence. It gives Caicedo a little bit of help to really create a backboard and a backbone to this Chelsea side. It allows Enzo Fernandez to go on a free roll almost and then start to dictate play further up the pitch. He can pick the ball up from deep, pick it up and drive with it, allowing himself to be able to both take players away but at the same time bring others into play. This allows and gives Jackson a freer role and an understanding that he can pick up certain positions as well, knowing that Enzo Fernandez will be able to find him. One of Fernandez's best qualities and traits was dropping a little bit deeper and then switching the play out to one of the wings. This was enabled by the likes of Reece James and Ben Chilwell, and that could still happen, but Mudryk and Madueke will still have the option to be able to drift out wide whenever they want to. We know that Mauricio Pochettino likes to play a more narrow system, and that means that they're going to need some defensive stability on the back foot. Caicedo and Lavia are going to be able to be that big backbone to allow the attackers from Chelsea to not need to worry about too many defensive situations. And then you talk about possession. Lavia is very good with the ball at his feet, and we know how good Caicedo is coming from that extremely good Brighton setup. So these three in a midfield triangle, I think, are absolutely crucial. They can dominate possession for days, and then they can start to progress forwards. With Lavia's physique and his ability on the ball, we can actually see on his heat map that he is in the attacking portion of the pitch more often than he's in the defensive portion of the pitch. Now this indicates to me that he is a more forward-thinking player that I think a lot of us are giving him credit for. Lavia can pick up the ball, I think, and with his physique, drive forwards. I think he can be a very, very good driving option, very much like a Moussa Dembele from that Tottenham Hotspur squad all those years ago. I think he's that good. I think he can take the ball, beat players, and then give the ball to the likes of an Enzo Fernandez or a Madueke or a Mudryk to be able to continue that attacking role, then dropping back whenever he needs to make sure he fills that centre defensive midfield role. Next to Caicedo, because of his age, I mean they're only a couple of years apart, but Caicedo would be seen as the more senior player. Lavia can learn from him, and I think them both growing together is something that could really bolster this Chelsea midfield. As I said, Enzo Fernandez is the main attacking outlet and the main creative outlet in this Chelsea side, especially with Christopher Nkunku no longer in the setup. He is injured for the foreseeable future. That's at least a few months, and that's why I've got Enzo in this central attacking midfield role. Nkunku could come back in here as a second striker, and then you have the question of where you want to play Enzo. He could come in instead of one of the wingers and perhaps play a forward midfield. He could play as a centre midfielder and then go box to box. There are so many options from this Chelsea setup, and it's enabled partially by Lavia, but also with Caicedo and Enzo. Lavia is almost the final part of this midfield jigsaw for Chelsea, and I do think that giving an extra option for this centre defensive midfield partnership is just something that makes Chelsea so much better. Now, I spoke about how he could unlock Moises Caicedo, and really when we think about the way that Chelsea could go forwards, it can't only be on Enzo. We know that Caicedo, when playing for Brighton, was extremely good at filling those attacking areas. He was very good at driving up with the attack and making sure that he could make lung-busting runs into the box, dragging players away but also allowing the space for other Brighton midfielders to be able to pick passes and then make runs themselves. So what I think from an attacking point of view you could see is this. I think Caicedo could come and join the attack, allowing Lavia to come into centre defensive midfield. Lavia picking up this role when Chelsea are in major possession allows Caicedo and Enzo to have freer roles to be able to go forwards. Not only does this occupy further defensive midfielders, but it also enables Madueke and Mudryk to start making darting runs into the box. The runs can be found by the likes of Enzo and Caicedo, and then you're giving a better role to Jackson. More players in the box mean more defenders are going to be occupied, and that means that Jackson gets a better chance of losing his man. It's all a numbers game, and allowing the likes of Nicholas Jackson to be able to get on the ball and getting Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo into more attacking areas. Now you might think that Caicedo is not necessarily the more forward-thinking player, but I'd argue the same point that I said about Lavia. Caicedo is only 21 years old, or thereabouts. His game hasn't actually matured yet. He's only played 40 games at the top level, and that means that he has an ability to adapt his game to a scenario that I think Mauricio Pochettino wants. Pochettino likes these younger players to be able to mould them into certain positions and scenarios that allows him to get the best out of his Chelsea side. And in this case, I think Lavia and Caicedo could complement each other perfectly. I think you can see Lavia as the more holding defensive midfielder, whereas the engine that is Moises Caicedo can do a bit of both. He can sit deep as a central defensive midfielder, rotating the ball around, making sure that the possession is recycled, but at the same time, when they need a player to go forwards, I think he will be the first option. In a 4-2-3-1 system, it does not necessarily mean that they need to stick to that system in possession. It could very easily transfer into a 4-1-2, and the real midfield prowess and the real midfield makeup could change from a 3-man midfield or even a 2 defensive midfield with 1 central attacking midfielder to a 1-man defensive midfield with 2 central attacking midfielders, if you get my point. The rotation of players to be able to go around the pitch is extremely useful, and I think with how young Lavia and Caicedo are, especially with the defensive prowess of Lavia from what we've seen at Southampton, I think he could unlock the likes of Moises Caicedo and definitely give Enzo Fernandez the ability to drop that little bit deeper, but also the ability to go forwards. And then there's one more final thing I want to mention. When we saw Chelsea play against Liverpool, we saw a very, very good version of a counter press. Now, Mauricio Pochettino likes his sides to be very pressurising. He likes them to be very energetic, very young. And in that second half against Liverpool, I was extremely impressed by the way every single player gave Liverpool no time at all. And with Moises Caicedo in this lineup, with Lavia in this lineup, I think the line for the counter press can be so much higher. This will allow the back line, because they also have some pace in them as well, to move that little bit further forwards. And all of a sudden you have a very young, strong, energetic, counter pressing side who are able to get turnovers much closer to goal. And then you're going to see the real technical ability of the likes of Madueke, of a Mudryk, of a Jackson, Enzo Fernandez picking passes, and all of a sudden Chelsea transform themselves into a possession-based side, into an aggressive, off-the-ball side that is able to make the most of the transitions that they create. It's a terrifying thought when you think about the likes of Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo all growing together and all learning from each other in a main midfield. The young aspect of this midfield is something that does need to be questioned, but the quality is undoubtedly there. And with Lavia at the base of this central defensive midfield partnership, Caicedo and Enzo can then go forwards to try and dictate the play for Chelsea. It is a fantastic midfield and one that I cannot wait to see. Romeo Lavia is going to be an absolute hit for Chelsea, I have no doubt about it. His game time might be limited in the first instances, but I think he is going to be a star and will definitely improve Chelsea going into this new season. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on how you think Romeo Lavia could impact this Chelsea side. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.